to do a question and answer with Dave Holladay. Stuff written down on my kid's coloring book. Austin Mago asked, is there a certain bow style that you like to shoot, and what's your shooting style?
I used to be way into it from about my teens into my 40s. And because I was mostly not going after big things, I was mostly a fish guy and a rabbit and stuff. But I mostly had to prove I was a good shot so that people would think I was credible as an instructor. But my life pattern hasn't made me much of a go kill big fuzzy animal kind of guy. I eat grasshoppers and fish and plants. But that said, my best success has been with a lightning-killed juniper bow back in my 20s. It was amazing. I really like, there's a plant called mountain mulberry that grows mostly in the mountains of New Mexico, West Texas, and Arizona, that a lot of great bow makers in our modern times have said is the fastest flight bow they've ever shot. And I've had some pretty powerful good luck with mountain mulberry. It's not like domestic at all. It's a different looking plant. I'm sure you got it in Texas and you learn what it looks like. But shape or style of bow, I've always just made quickies, like something I can produce to go get the fish I just saw out of anything that'll shoot an arrow. But when I've made bows that I want to keep for a long time, where I live, round bows, African style round bows, where you don't even make a knock, you just pipe pitch a lot of string on the end so that the string can't, so that your bowstring can't slide over the ends of those big knobbies on the end. So a lot like a Bushman bow. Those were always the fastest, easiest to make. I think there might even be one up on the wall above my head.
So Dave made that in a cave in Utah
with stone tools, and what we're going for is fish that aren't very deep under the water. We're shooting trout, stuff like that are kind of near the surface or back under a muddy bank, or making tips that you don't mind destroying if they hit the rock on the other side. So I'd say my favorite's always been a quickie Bushman style, African style Bushman bow, where you don't make a knock. You use plant fibers and tree saps and stuff to make a big knob and leave just enough of the tip sticking out. I might as well pull it off the wall. That's what I was thinking.
Right, get it? I need to clean the dust off of it. But Dave made this in Utah on a trip I did with him last year.
So that's the knock style right there. So you don't ever harm. You don't harm any of the integrity of the wood, and that makes it so this little, so one end's like that, the other end of the string is left free, so you can do any style of tie off on any length of bow. And this is just dog bane, so it's not ever gonna shoot anything over about maybe 15-20 pounds. But I'm only going for trout, and you just have to get your arrow within about an inch of their eye or their skull. And so you're not really aiming long distance. So as far as long distance shots, I've never even tried. I'm kind of a 15 to 20 feet type, guy. The guys I know who get their deer every year say the same thing. They don't go looking. They study for a long time. They sweat for four days. They don't sleep with their wife for 4 days. They don't eat for 4 days. They rub themselves down with a western sumac plant that's called Rus trilobata. It smells real good. It's like squawberry or lemonade berry bush. It's a cousin to your eastern sumac, but the leaf shape's way different. It's Rus trilobata.
Yeah, we actually have it here too.
Yeah, and they'll rub their whole bodies the night before they go hunting down with that, and the morning in the dark before they leave. So they just go sit someplace. And the guys I know who get their deer every year, they say they're aiming for a spot the size of a quarter from about 13 feet away. They're not looking for a deer, they're looking for a place on a deer. And they're pretty successful after 30 years of doing that. I'm not one of them guys. They're my heroes, but I don't even want to go copy them. I just like what they're doing. I respect their process. That said, I've made a few flat bows, quickie flat bows, out of a hated African invader called tamarisk. And if you get down to the inner pink wood, you can cut the outside wood off completely off of both sides on a green or live tree, toast it in the fire that night or in the ground underneath it, get it dry and string it the next day and go use it. And I've even made them out of old dead trees and was with a machete and was hunting fish when I was young and quick about stuff in 20 minutes. That's if I had a string already made in my pocket. So junk wood, some people that call some things junk wood because you can't spend 6 months curing it and doing the perfect good stuff. But I'd say the best bows I've ever made from exotics are Osage orange, because everybody in the world knows that's the one. It has the best capacity to take compression in the orange part and the best capacity to stretch and return to its original shape in the white part. So somehow the creator made a tree where it could do both on the same tree. I don't think that's a coincidence. So is that too much talk?
No, perfect.
All right.
Let's see, what is the next question? Get my coloring book here. All right. Now I'm gonna butcher this name, so I apologize. Eamon Karan says, "How do you stay motivated?"
Huh. Well, that's actually a good question for me right now because I went down with the COVID for 7 weeks, and I was way down for about 5 of those. And I think I actually left this body because of some of the experiences I had that are not from this realm, and came back. And after I came back, all I cared about was caring about people and being kind and maybe kind of slow and unmotivated completely to produce or get stuff done. I'm not making stuff all the time and trying to make a living. It's more like I'm just being kind to whoever I'm with. And watching clouds and looking at little kids playing. Like those old men you see in the park. Now I know why they're doing that. But I'm not tired as much as I am just tired of wasting my time on stuff that's not eternal. You know? So how do I stay motivated? I wait for somebody to ask for something. Like this question. That gets me excited. I have something I feel like sharing because somebody wants something. So, you know, after the COVID, I wasn't painting anymore. I wasn't making arrowheads. I wasn't doing anything. I was just happy to sit by my wife and hold her hand and stuff. She was kind of worried about me because that's not her favorite thing to do. She wants to see me out doing stuff. And so, what got me going is some friends called and they asked for some hairpins, some exotic wood hairpins from the desert where I live. And I said, sure. I said, how many do you want? And they said, well, how about 30? And I said, all right. And then they called back when I was just about done with my order, and they said, how about 50? And I said, well, that's only 20 more. I can do that. And I was just about done, and they said, well, how about 80? And they're going to pay me pretty good money per piece. I think it's $8 a piece for the hairpins. And then when they got them, they said, oh, these are worth 10 each. So a guy with no job, living on a creek, unmotivated, recovering from the COVID, all of a sudden is producing a whole lot of stuff, and I got them all done in about a week with all hand tools, like a horseshoe rasp and a pocket knife and some sandstone for sandpaper, and then I finished them off with steel wool so they were shiny. Just cheap stuff I had laying around in boxes, right? Or just out on the land. But all the wood came from out exotic cool woods that grow out in the deserts and the canyons. So all of a sudden I was feeling good about doing something, but I'd have never thought of just going and making 80 hairpins. But when I was younger, like this young man right here, that would have been something cool to do. I thought, wow, that's really cool for my own sake. But in this case, it was about taking care of others and helping them get what they want. So my motivation is pretty low when it comes to trying to make some decision on how I should go out and make more money or whatever. But when somebody asks for something, like I've been asked to come to this gathering here in Texas, heck yeah. If somebody wants me, I want to go. But I don't go looking anymore. I'm not. I want to love whoever I'm with in a really kind and honest way, and not be a producer of things. And I don't want to make knickknacks to pay for my car insurance and my gas or whatever. I want to actually do things that are meaningful for the people around me. And I don't know, even at my age, I don't always know what my value is. My value is sometimes tied to what somebody needs from me. So some of us guys still think, and I guess moms too, that we're as valuable as the people that love us, or what needs we fulfill for them. And so I've always felt okay about me, but we's way more fun. So flip that M on me over, and it becomes a double U. Two U's touching on the side. Where they touch, that's where we share that space. And so I like we better than me, and that's helping me a lot to stay motivated at my age. As this, what used to be really good-looking body turns into this kind of old, flabby sack that I drag around.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for asking that, because that's kind of right where my life's at right now. That's actually a very pertinent question. I've been pondering that at 2 a.m. when nobody else is around. So thank you, young man. I'm assuming you're young. I don't know. Whoever you are, thank you for that question.
Awesome. Okay, the next one is from Gary Doyle. And Gary's an awesome guy. So he asks, who impresses you most from the next generation of schools and instructors?
I swear I'm not getting paid for this, but there's a few people that I like. One that comes to mind is a young man that just won an award of a sheath knife, a beaded sheath knife at the rabbit stick gathering, and his name's Clutch. And him and his wife, I met them at Anasazi because we were out on the trail on the Apache Res, taking care of young kids on Apache land, and we spent a lot of nights together, and we got to hear each other's thoughts. And they were kind of new at all this in some ways, but old souls in terms of appreciation for the earth and old stories. And I was really glad to see Clutch win that award, because it's about how much he's adding to the community right now. The outdoor living skills, primitive / earth skills, whatever you want to call it, ancestral skills. I think Clutch is doing something good right now. I've been helping. At one point, think I was helping Dan Baird get credibility by having me on his staff for California Survival School. And over the years, it's him that's helping me, because he keeps sending. I can stay home and he can send me clients. And I've been meeting amazing people. So he talks me up, puts me on his instructor list. People kind of aren't rushing to find me, but once in a while he sends one person or 3 people or something to spend a week with me in Utah, and they enrich my life. I've made some lifetime friends from the people that Dan sent me, and I like Dan's approach. We're way different in terms of how we organize thought process, but he appreciates me and I appreciate him. So I think California Survival School is doing something. There's a young woman named Raina that comes to Rabbit Stick a lot. Beautiful young blonde girl that I know since she's a little kid. And she's gone out on a couple of things on overnights with me at the gatherings. And she's just, I think she's one of the lights right now in the sharing this information with little kids, especially. Powerful young woman named Raina. I think the boss crew that was always on the front lines, and of course Anasazi youth programs, Youth Inc., they've always had frontline what I call frontline people who are always the best. It's kind of like, I don't care who's president ever in my nation, but I love my people, and I love what we're aiming for. So I don't care if we have I don't care if there's a monkey, George Shrub Jr. I don't care who's president. Obama, Donald Duck. I don't care. Go Brandon. Those guys are so far from where I live. They never came to my house. But what I love in the primitive skills world are the young men and women that are out on the front lines of either field research, which is studying what works and what doesn't, no matter what some old timer told them once. And on the youth rehab side of that, it's the people out there giving their hearts and teaching the youth with some flavor and some power and some I'd say love of the subject matter more than ego, more than wanting to be cool. So I'm not getting paid for this, but my favorite person right now is this.
Thank you.
This crazy German Cherokee.
Who?
From
The
Texas.
dog?
Yeah, right. No, I really like what he's doing. I like his courage, and I love his approach. And somehow we hit it off perfect. It's almost like I'm trying to warn him, because he reminds me of myself when I was his age. Be real careful not to get lost in the stuff, and remember that it's about the people. It's about the we, not the me. And he's not an ego kind of guy, but I think we both get the same thrill when we're walking along and find an arrowhead on the ground. We just ponder for days about how did people used to live here, and how did we make it here once. And that was what motivated me starting in about first grade. So who else? I'm missing a lot of great young people. I would say, in defense of the old people, something Westcott always says, who was one of my best mentors, and Larry Olson, especially Westcott. Remember the people whose heads you're standing on, and include them once in a while. I feel great because they're asking me to come out here and do something. I haven't had a real job since the 80s. So once I make a living, that helps my wife get car insurance, gas money, and some groceries, right? So remember us old timers, and if you want to be the best young new generation, don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Because all of us, I was a punk lots of times. I say rude stuff, or stuff tweaks people's heads. Before the modern technology glitched, I was about to say that sometimes I try to say funny stuff to wake people up in the mornings at gatherings, at the morning announcements. And I remember one time hearing these young girls talking about somebody's outfit, going, "That's like so yesterday." I thought that's funny, so I got up and I said, "This primitive skills movement is like so yesterday." And so I guess what I mean by that is, if you can't apply it to your real life right now in some way that helps you or the people you're teaching, it's just like geeking out on something that doesn't really benefit people, other than maybe it's fun for you. It's your habit. So I would just say my favorite people are the ones that are keeping it current, regardless of what age they are, regardless of how old their bodies are. How do they keep it current to the people they're teaching and to themselves? Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would add on to what he said about, honoring our elders and the people that came before us. Without people like Dave and Dave Westcott and Steve Watts and, everybody that had anything to do with the Larry Dean Olson, exactly.
Dick Jameson.
Without these guys, we would be having to figure out this stuff on our own from ground zero. So we get a massive leg up, and we get to stand on their shoulders, and it gives us the ability to replicate what they're doing, and then take that a step further and try to figure out how we can continue to push that and and continue to I don't want to say improve because these skills are old, but find new ways to
your ability.
Exactly,
Improve your ability.
and just find new ways to implement into that into modern day. So thank you, Dave Holladay and Dave Westcott and Steve Watts and Dick Jameson, and I mean there's a long list of people, but thank you to the guys that came before us for doing all the groundwork and laying that foundation for us to continue to build off of.
I do have something to add if this isn't too long of an answer. I believe, and I've been thinking about this for a few months now, that everybody that lived on any part of the earth is getting, if they're in tune with the earth, they're going to start getting some of the same information that the last group did. So like our culture, this American experiment, this attempt to have an equitable governmental system that gives everybody a chance to participate and protects the little guy from the government and all that, how it's supposed to work, hadn't been going on for very long. If you look at world history, this is kind of a new little blip in time. But if we last more than another 1,000 years, if our culture lasted for several thousand years, like some did, like the Australian Aborigines, we might find that some of our behaviors match what you would call natural eternal law, and we'd start living really similar to the last group that lived here for the longest period of time. Because I don't think you can live out of balance like that and last for very long. So you can get away with taking your backpack into the backcountry full of food and stuff and know nothing at all about the earth and live for a couple of weeks if you're strong enough to carry all that junk. But eventually you're going to have to go back to your resource pile. And if it's not the natural world, and you can't do that yourself, then you're always going to be asking somebody else to take care of you. So some of the motivation for our society to learn how to be here in a healthier way is that we'll last longer. Because you don't take care, you can blow the refrigerator door off and grab everything in it and munch it down in an hour, but you don't get to use that refrigerator ever again. So if you want to be like the monkeys in Africa, they don't tear the termite mound down to get all the termites. They poke a little stick in there and they just pull them out a couple at a time. They're having a termite popsicle and they aren't destroying that food source. They can come back days in a row and none of them termites ever figure out where their buddies are going through that little hole. Right? They're having a termite popsicle over and over again for a long extended period of time rather than destroying the termite mound so they can get hands full of termites. So we're kind of the grabbers who are taking it all right now, not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. And so my theory is, my belief is that if we match a more earth-based, long-term healthy pattern, we might start living really similar to the last group that lasted for 2,000 years here. The earth might be teaching us how to be. The creator, I believe that the earth is created, not just a haphazard event. I think we're here to learn from this place, and it has a lot to teach us. So my main motivator, and I think the next generation, to answer your question, is if they start listening and they listen better than we did, they're going to get a better result. We were just fed up with the place we came from. Some of us are just refugees from a place we didn't want to be, emotionally, socially, or otherwise. And some of us could have been good at anything we chose. Could have done anything, and we chose to do this because we thought this was the healthiest direction to go. So we're not, not everybody's a misfit, escapee, hermit. Some of us could have partied on any direction we wanted to, but something touched our hearts when we were young and said, hey, maybe this would be a good way to spend our lives if we're lucky to live long enough. Anyway, is that too much information?
It's perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
I think we have one more question. Hopefully this doesn't die again. Bushcraft Kelso says, how y'all doing?
Hi, Kelso.
Hey, Kelso.
How are you doing? I really, really admire you. Had a lot of fun watching you. this came to mind you know, because you're such a good sense of humor and a very crafted, skilled man in the modern world and in any other thing you put your mind to. But you love your land and you love your farm. You love sharing information with people all over the planet. You seem to be a Renaissance man in the capacity to live in the you know, modern communications world. So what's been getting me the most excited is probably somebody that you already know about, but I would say the guy that just wrote that book, This Ain't Normal.
I think that's Joel Salatin.
Joel Salatin. My wife's really smart. She's been putting him on when we go for a cruise someplace or some gathering or anywhere we're going where we're in the truck, she puts the Bluetooth speaker thing on and she puts This Ain't Normal, a book called This Ain't Normal on the Bluetooth, and I just get happier and happier the more that man talks. Not because his message is always pleasant, because it's so straight, right on, and he's funny. I mean, there's one thing to sit around and mope about how stupid we are, but the other thing is to laugh about how maybe we should take another path, you know. And a lot of people are already done that since Foxfire came out and showed how a lot of Southerners have always done that because they paid attention to the people who were already living there before they arrived, right? And then they started gaining some of their own knowledge. Doug Elliott came and talked and did his programs with his son and daughter-in-law at Rabbit Stick. And all of those old stories that he brought from the old timers that he met back when they were writing Foxfire and before are just treasures of knowledge. And so somehow the South was able to keep more old stories alive in the black, native, and white population than other parts of the country. Now, I don't know why. People are telling me that's disappearing like frost on a sunny morning, but Doug and a few other people have saved that, and you got that energy yourself. And so I really respected how I felt, how your approach to taking care of the land and what you thought was important. When you go put your funny stuff out on the internet, I loved what you chose to put there. What's important to you is simple and real, and because it is, it becomes profound. I think especially for people in some high-rise apartment in China who have no clue what it's like to touch the earth. So I guess that's how I'm doing. That's how I'm doing. Is I'm listening to Joe Salatin and thinking this ain't normal, and thinking of you once in a while. So thank you. It was great meeting you. I got my Dick Jameson book, right where I can see it, and I open it up all the time. So thanks for that gift.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah.
And I'm getting to hang out with this guy, so I'm doing pretty good. And we're about to spend a week at Sky Earth. So if you haven't heard about Sky Earth, check it out.
He's my emotional support animal, man. I'm gonna take him home on the plane.
Yeah, I definitely need to get back up there and spend some time at your place.
Please. I feel safe and happy around some people, and this guy creates unbumpable safety bubbles.
I don't know about that, but we've been having.
So does his dad.
We've been having fun.
Yeah, his wife, his daughters.
I have a good support system.
Yeah,
for sure. But.
Hi.
Well, thanks, guys. We only had 4 questions, but I think we did a pretty good job of getting some good content out of it.
I believe that they're important subjects, and so therefore I can make way too much noise about them.
There's nothing wrong with that. Thanks, guys.
See ya.